rather take more questions.
Great, you got it. These are actually individual questions, so we'll stick with the same order that we had. Ms. Woerner, one for you. What advantages are there for electing a Democrat in this district?
As I said, I mean, the simple political reality is that downstate Democrats control the assembly. I didn't create that problem, but it's true. And for too long, the interests of the downstate communities have been put ahead of the interests of upstate communities. Because quite frankly, our delegation, which is largely made up of Republicans, has no voice in the assembly, no meaningful voice in the assembly. If we want to get things done, if we want real mandate relief, if we want our schools to receive their full share of funding, we have to have a voice in the majority. That is the only way we are going to get real change. And that's the reality of it.
Mr. Jordan, one for you.
Thanks, Matt. At the start of this year, based on what I would like to think was a lot of hard work and effort on my part, I was named floor leader. What does that mean is, I was filling in the capacity of running the debate on the floor. I was the voice for people who were fighting for rational, reasonable government. And that is a powerful voice to have, and a voice that brings with it a lot of responsibility, but a lot of opportunity. But more to the point, the assertion that you have to be a Democrat to get things done, I think is belied by the notion that just in 2012 alone, we introduced 6 bills that were passed by both houses and signed by the governor, which, if my count is correct, ranks 26th out of 150. That shows the power and the ability of working across party lines and not submitting that the only way you get things done is by being a member of the majority. If that were the case, we would have one party. It's important to have both voices heard. Our voices are heard, and that is the reason we have a tax cap today. 8 years ago, that was introduced by the Republican Assembly Conference. That was an idea that has been championed. We picked up that mantle 4 years ago and ran with it. And that is why we have it today, because it was a good idea. It was a needed idea. It was an important idea. Not because of whose idea it was because it was a good idea. And that's really how our state should be. That's what we should expect of our state representatives. And that's something I'm proud to carry forward.
Thank you. This will be our final question. And I'm going to modify it slightly to encompass both counties. The question, to start with Mr. Jordan. How can you create jobs in Washington County, and we'll add Saratoga County, without using taxpayer money?
I met with a business owner. I'd love to take credit for the comment, but I can't. He said, Tony, if I need to add someone and you give me a 15% tax break and it costs me $100, I'm not going to do it for $15 back. I will hire someone if I need that person. The way I need that person is for my business to grow. The more my business grows, the more the demand rises, the more I'm able to focus on spending my money on growing the business, not complying with some regulation, the state chart. Any business owner who collects sales tax understands that you have to pay the government for that privilege. You now have to prepare those filings online. I mean, there's a lot of different mandates that we pile on and on and on to businesses. It becomes the death by 1,000 cuts. What we need to do is, if you make it easier for businesses to do business, if we focus on the core missions of our agencies and work with them to understand that their responsibility is not to be the punishers, but to be the partner of business, we will find growth and businesses will locate where they want to be. We have a great workforce throughout the capital region that is ready, willing, and able to work. We need to make it viable for the business owners to hire them.
Thank you. In Saratoga County, we just made a huge investment of taxpayer dollars to attract global boundaries. It was a big initiative, it was a heavy lift to get it done. But frankly, that's not the path to creating new jobs in Saratoga County. What I know is that small businesses are the engines of job growth. And my opponent is correct that the problem is not tax breaks, the presence or absence of them. The problem is creating a business climate that is friendly for small businesses, whether those small businesses are retail businesses or small high-tech startups or small farms. We have to start addressing this because every I know that when I focus on growing my business and bring in 3 or 4 or 5 new clients, I have to hire somebody to service those accounts. Any hour that I have to spend on paperwork for the state is taking me away from growing my business. And that's true in every business. I talk to business owners of all stripes, and they've all got those stories. So we really need to focus on creating a business climate that is going to be favorable to business. And part of that is protecting our education system. Unfortunately, it's true that the zip code that you live in is really the driver on the quality of education you receive. We have to hold the state accountable to fully fund rural upstate schools.
Thank you. That'll wrap up our questions for the first portion of the debate. We'll now have a closing statement from each one of you. And as we decided at the beginning with the order, Ms. Woerner, you have 1 minute to wrap up.
Thank you. We have in this region amazing opportunity and tremendous challenges in front of us. And we have to send a representative to Albany who can actually get things done. Over the course of the last several months, I've met with corporate executives, I've met with farmers, I've met with small business owners, I've met with town supervisors, I've met with school superintendents. And in all of those conversations, I hear a similar theme, and I'll just summarize it here for you. Tony, he's a nice enough guy, but he can't carry the water for us. When we need to get things done, he can't do it. We have to start addressing the challenges in front of us. We cannot let our schools dip into insolvency. We have to address regulatory reform. We need to lower taxes. And if we're going to get things done, we need to send somebody to the majority party in the Assembly. I will be a loud voice for the needs of our communities. I ask for your support in your vote on November 6th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jordan.
Again, I would like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event. And sitting here reminds me of 4 years ago. We ran on a platform that included the need for a tax cap, responsible budgeting, flat budgeting. We needed to stop the tax and spend mentality of the very group my opponent would like to join. We needed meaningful ethics reform. We needed to change the image that is Albany. And most people said, that's nice, Tony, but it will never happen. Well, quite frankly, it has. We have a tax cap. We have meaningful ethics reform. We're not going to weed out all the bad apples. You never do. But the reporting requirements and the enforcement mechanisms in place today will go much further to doing that. We passed this year the lowest tax rate for middle-class New Yorkers in 58 years. Those are ideas that we have been championing for years. Those are ideas that we're accomplishing. We're not done yet. We have a lot more to do. Regulatory reform, mandate relief aren't just catchphrases. They're real. If you believe, as I do, that we can return New York to the Empire State through responsible government, less government, I would be honored to have your support this November, and thank you all for coming out tonight.